pressuring Israel to retreat to the pre-1967 ceasefire lines, which is an 8 to 15 mile sliver along the Mediterranean, dominated by the Judea and Samaria mountain ridge, ignores Jewish history and represents a victory of wishful thinking over the 1400-year-old reality of Mideast violence, unpredictability, doublespeak, tyranny, and hate education. Mideast peace agreements are as durable as are Arab regimes, policies, and accords, which have been, since the 7th century, the world's most shifty, intolerant, violent, volatile, and treacherous, as currently reflected by the intensifying Arab tsunami from northwest Africa to the Persian Gulf. Land for Peace assumes that an Israeli withdrawal from Judea and Samaria would convince Arabs to accord the infidel Jew that which Muslim believers have denied one another for 1400 years, peaceful coexistence and compliance with agreements. Land for Peace would usher the Arab tsunami into the mountain ridges of Judea and Samaria, which tower over 80% of Israel's population and infrastructures, including Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Israel's only international Ben Gurion Airport. It also towers over the Jordan Valley, Israel's longest border. Land for Peace would doom Jerusalem to be an enclave connected to the coastal plain through a 4-mile-wide corridor, which would be dominated by mountains under Arab sovereignty. The width of pre-67 Israel, 815 miles, is equal to the length of DFW Airport in Texas, the distance between JFK and LaGuardia airports in New York, Kennedy Center, and RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The area of pre-67 Israel, 0.2% of the Arab world, is smaller than the gunnery range at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. Former chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staffs, the late General Earl Wheeler, told President Lyndon Johnson, the minimum requirements for Israel's defense include most of the West Bank, the whole of Gaza, and the whole of the Golan Heights. 100 retired U.S. generals and admirals cautioned Israel against withdrawing from Judea and Samaria, stating that it would be impossible to demilitarize the area effectively. The late Admiral Bud Nance said, the eastern mountain ridge of the West Bank is one of the world's best tank barriers. The western mountain ridge of the West Bank constitutes a dream platform of invasion to Israel's narrow 8 to 15 mile coastal plain. Control of the West Bank provides Israel the time, 50 hours, to mobilize reservists, which are 75% of Israel's military, which are critical to Israel's survival during a surprise Arab attack. Most reservists in Israel reside in the Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa area, which is dominated by the Judea and Samaria mountain ridge. Contrary to conventional wisdom, ground barriers are significant in the era of ballistic missiles. According to the U.S. Army Institute of Land Warfare, land force is the cornerstone of deterrence. Ground units can both destroy and occupy. And indeed, during the Afghan campaign of 2002, precision airstrikes were critical, but they neither annihilated opposition nor finished the enemy. According to General Al Gray, former commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps, military success requires more than a few hundred missiles. To defeat Israel would require the Arabs to deploy armor, infantry, and artillery into Israel and destroy the IDF on the ground. Military high-tech today will be low-tech tomorrow, but high ground always remains high ground. Moreover, any technology can be jammed, but one cannot jam the mountainous topography of Judea and Samaria. Should the Sinai concession to Egypt apply to Judea and Samaria? The Sinai borders the Negev, which is topographically similar to the Sinai, sparsely populated, a platform for much of Israel's standing army, On the other hand, Judea and Samaria borders the topographically inferior, densely populated, most vulnerable 8 to 15-mile sliver along the Mediterranean. 50 hours are required to violate the demilitarization of Sinai, 22,000 square miles, but only 10 hours in the case of Judea and Samaria, 2,200 square miles. Therefore, the Sinai concession was a calculated risk, and a Judea and Samaria concession would be a lethal gamble. The geographic depth of Judea and Samaria, the Golan Heights, and Sinai enabled Israel to survive the 1973 surprise Arab offensive. Land for Peace would reward endemic aggressors and serial violators of agreements and punish the intended victim. It would fuel belligerence, undermine stability, and the pursuit of peace. It would demolish Israel's posture of deterrence, which is an irreplaceable life insurance policy in the most violent region in the world, which has never tolerated infidel entities.